Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and today I want to talk about Metal Gear Solid, a game series that is near and dear to my heart. I've played all four of the PlayStation-based games over and over again over the years, and recently, within the last couple of weeks, Konami, their website, specifically the Kojima Productions side of it, put out an advertisement for, basically, they're looking for people to help bring about the next Metal Gear game. The website features a splash page that basically says, Big Boss wants you to help create the next, air quotes, Metal Gear game. And so what they're looking for is, computer programmers, polygonal experts, graphic artists and designers, and so on and so forth, because apparently Kojima-san has an idea what the next game is going to be. And I think this is very exciting news. I am really eagerly anticipating what the next chapter could be. And that's kind of what I want to do with this video a little bit. I want to get into some speculation as far as where could they go with the story. So I'm presuming you've probably, if you've clicked on this video, you probably have some familiarity with the game series. I'm not going to get too into detail. There's too much interweaving and fluctuating and twist and turning storyline points that I'm not even going to begin to remember all of them. But basically, suffice to say, I have played all four of the games: Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater, as well as Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots. And so I kind of want to begin with Guns of the Patriots. The last sort of most current, if you will, in the storyline of all these characters, and looking at where that game was left. If you've played the game, you probably know the story. And basically what we're left with is Solid Snake, or Old Snake, depending on your preference, was very much at the end of his game. No pun intended. His story, I believe, was finally wrapped up. He had resolved no more fighting. He was going to be a man of peace, sort of as his promise to Big Boss suggests. And so as far as a next chapter in the Metal Gear Solid series, I don't think Solid Snake is going to be going any further than where we've left him. It's kind of sad to note, but, that's the way the cookie crumbles, basically. So discounting Solid Snake as a playable character, or even a background character, I mean, I'm not saying that's impossible, but I don't think it's very likely. So I will then naturally move on to Otacon, who is basically Snake's hetero life partner at this point. Kind of Jay and Silent Bob humor there. And so Otacon seems like a more viable option as far as a background character. That's pretty much what he's been, since his basic debut in Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid 2, he and Snake were in the thick of it. Of course, Snake wasn't playable for most of that game. And when he became playable for the entirety of Guns of the Patriots, Otacon was definitely more involved with the action than he had since been. But he was still not a playable character, and so on and so forth. He wasn't running around shooting people. That would have been very against his nature, in my opinion. But I did like that he was more in the story. I really like the character of Otacon and relate to him. So, and let me just sidebar and say, whatever the next chapter is in the Metal Gear Solid series, I would really hope that they would bring the voice actors back. David Hayter, who does Snake and Big Boss, Christopher Randolph, who has voiced Otacon since the character's inception, as well as a sort of similar character in the game Peace Walker, which I've never played, and I only vaguely am familiar with that story. I know it involves Big Boss, and there was a character called Huey that Christopher Randolph voiced, who is very much Otacon-like. Not exactly like, not a carbon copy, but, very similar. And I just want to sidebar and say, I really hope these voice actors will return for whatever the next chapter is. Even so far as to say the cat who voices Raiden, Debbie Mae West, who voiced Merrill, Paul Eating, who voiced Colonel Campbell, and so on and so forth. Of course, Campbell, again, like Snake, has reached, that time of retirement. So, but sticking with Otacon, I think he would be a more viable option as a background character, or as an advisory character, that type of thing. Beyond that, we are left with Sunny, who was in sort of Otakon's care. She was Olga Gurlukovich's daughter. Olga was the character from Sons of Liberty who was killed, and they had kidnapped, the child at some point. We never found out, incidentally, who the father of Sunny is. This could be a story point. We could explore this. Or even Sunny herself. She's definitely a more reserved, little girl from where we see her in Guns of the Patriots. She's just experiencing the outside world for the very first time. What's to say that somehow her view of it would not be tainted, or would be not quite what we would think in a positive light. So there's every chance that they could tell a story where Sunny sort of goes bad or something like that. And again, we don't know who the father is, so there's that story point. This would then lead me on to, well, if it's not part of those three, who else do we have? I mean, there's Mei Ling, there's the Rat Patrol 1, but that would lead me to Meryl. And I would think Meryl, and of course we saw in Guns of the Patriots, she and Johnny Sasaki, aka Akiba, who basically they've known each other since the very first Metal Gear Solid, as Meryl basically jacked his suit off him and left him unconscious and naked in a cell area. And of course, as the story goes, he fell in love with her on first sight. So they are married now. And, of course, we did see them sort of kicking a lot of ass toward the end of Guns of the Patriots when they finally synced up together and professed their love for each other, that kind of thing. And I will admit that I didn't quite like the sort of Mr. and Mrs. Smith vibe that was going on between them a little bit there. But, as soon as he unmasked himself in the game, I told myself, it can't be coincidence that he looks almost like the spitting image of Snake, a little blonder in the hair, but take away that super aging deformity that Snake has, and that's what basically Johnny looks like. So it's interesting that he and Meryl ended up hooking up together, and this is the prime area where I would think, if we wanted heroes for the next game in the series, a story set beyond Guns of the Patriots, Johnny and Meryl would probably be the prime real estate as far as where they would go. But again, that's assuming the game will take place after Guns of the Patriots. And the reason I haven't brought up Raiden is simply because he's already got a game coming out, Metal Gear Rising. So he's got his spin-off, Sure, we could pick up with him again, I'm sure, I think his days fighting were kind of over too, but then again, kind of in the vein of Sunny, there's his kid, so who knows? I mean, that kid seemed like a wily little nutcase anyway with his little wooden sword or whatever, so who knows where that's going to go. But, basically getting back to the ad itself, it says, Big Boss wants you. And I did read one article online, the only article that I've seen to add to the speculation, that the idea may be this is going to be another Big Boss-centric game. Following in the wake of Snake Eater and Peace Walker, this is possibly going to be a new chapter in Big Boss's early career. And this is an exciting prospect because Snake Eater is, by some, and I think it's definitely up there in my top as well, but for some it's the best Metal Gear game that's ever been made, even beyond the most recent one, which was Guns of the Patriots. So essentially we'd be telling an unknown chapter in the life of Big Boss. Now, this does excite me, this prospect does excite me, but as someone who's never played Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, that also has me wondering what would be the chances that Kojima-san might end up remaking those games as maybe one big grand opus. This would be something I would love to experience. I'd love to experience that side of the story. And if he remade them, he'd be able to retcon whatever problems exist in the continuing narrative of the Metal Gear saga. So, I think these are all interesting points, and I think it would be really fascinating to, contemplate and hear from you guys who are Metal Gear Solid fans. If you happen to be, one of my regular viewers or someone who just stumbles across this video, I'd love to hear what you think the next chapter is going to be. Are we going into the past and uncovering another chapter in Big Boss's life? Could it be a remake of those early Metal Gear games? Or perhaps, are we going further into the future? Now that the Patriots and Big Boss and Major Zero have all been wiped out and Snake is kind of in retirement, where's the next chapter going to go? I think these are very interesting questions as a longtime fan of this series. So, but that's pretty much all I have to say on it. And I'll await whatever you guys, have to say about it. Please comment down below. Video responses are welcome as well. And otherwise, I hope this video finds you well. And that'll be it for me. And I'll catch you later. Peace.